Totally right to start invasion in a dark room, being searched by a flashlight. I thought it was really neat how the flashlight almost narrated the room, searched and read the room for its holder. The camera caught the lighting perfectly. 2 minutes in, and we've already had two jump scares. There's definitely a psychological thriller here, and the way that he kept napping and waking up to a murderous scene was chilling.
It tells a very good haunted house story, sort of on the same lines of The Shining, and that this is a setting that seems to possess the character himself and incriminate the person into thinking that he is the one responsible for the madness that has ensued. The prominent line, "No one can disturb my peace," is something that sounds like something that a place would say more than a person him or herself. I really like the switch in tone that since we start off with the perspective of a man holding a flashlight in a room full of crusty voodoo objects, we know right away that we're heading for trouble. And then the tone completely shifts into the Blair Witch Project, and that I think will take the audience by surprise. And then they're fueled with questions: was it self-defense or was he possessed by the place itself? And by the end, they are given the answer. And the line that resonates, I think, that with the crowd, that I think that they'll have in their heads as they leave the theater is, "No one can disturb my peace." And yet again, that sounds like something that a place would say.
I liked this so much. It was so creepy. I love stories that, especially stories like this, where it does kind of play with like suspense and horror and gore a little bit, even when they play with using like body doubles or using like basically invading and like taking over characters that you've already met and turning them into something else, because then it's always an interesting reaction and dynamic with the rest of the characters. So seeing that, I think, was super interesting in the room. And then when he leaves the room and he goes out and he sees everything, all of the like bodies on the floor, and his whole experience before that was so well done. And then to see the video camera at the very end was so great. And I think that they played like the voice and everything and the inhibition of like the invaders so well, because it was such a distinct difference between the people as they were and then the people as they had been invaded, or him at least as he had been invaded. So I really enjoyed it. I thought they did a lot of things really well.
I love a movie within a movie. Unexpected. I had no idea that we were going into that. I just thought it was a standard horror movie, which they were making. And the set dressing was great. I was super into it. So the jump to kind of the Blair Witch style self raw footage recording was cool, because I knew exactly what world we were in. And what I loved about this piece is it kept flipping, whether we were in a dream or what was reality, what was just a typical everyday, what is the movie that they're shooting. And it was hard to tell, which I liked. It kept me on my toes, and it was quite scary. And it really played on all the different levels of what it means to have an invasion of the home, of the body, of the mind.
I really enjoyed the perspective shifts throughout the beginning of this film. It was a little bit meta. It was like a movie within a movie within a movie. So we didn't really know like when it's starting. So that was really cool. I really enjoyed that, and I haven't really seen that very often. So great job.
I was literally on the edge of my seat the entire time, trying to figure out what was going to happen, especially when we were like going through the house with him as he was like looking for like, you know, the monster as what I thought in the beginning until like I got to the end. I know the fight scene was extremely intense and scary, and like I was just like so like enthralled in it. Like I wanted to see everything. I didn't want to like take my eyes off the screen for a second. And it was such a big plot twist when we see him watching the video and he sees that what he thought was fighting off. It just like it blew my mind because I really was not expecting that. It was a crazy plot twist, but an amazing plot twist.
Right off the bat, what drew me in, or at least what I noticed too, was just really good set decoration and makeup and wardrobe. I thought there was some fantastic work in those departments. Moving on from there, the performances were great. It's kind of the, working in film is that you're hearing things that you would hear. So the dialogue was good. Everything was just felt really grounded, which is good when you have something sort of crazy happening. So yeah, they did a really good job with all that. It's cut together well. It's just presented well. Just worth checking out. There's a good amount of production value in this one that shouldn't be lost.
It doesn't feel like a 15-minute short, in all honesty. It feels much shorter just by the way it moves. And it has a really interesting premise to it, one that we may have seen in other types of variation, but not the specific way. I mean, shooting inside a haunted house kind of recalls one of the many Halloween sequels. I think like the fourth or fifth one did something similar to that, but this is different because this is shooting a horror film in a specific location, not shooting a documentary about, let's say, a haunted home. They seem to have no knowledge that the home has a shady history, and I think it's best that we don't get any kind of unnecessary exposition about what happened in the house beforehand and how does someone know about that. We don't get any of those needless details. The ambiguity works towards its benefit, I think, and that's inherently apparent in the execution of the short itself. And it features effective special effects and good acting and a sustained interest through from the beginning to the end. Once we think, oh, this is where it's going, there's still a little bit more to go. So it's always good when these types of shorts are able to sustain audience attention and investment as we are working through what we think is going on and we actually see what is going on.